all of the darkness that those addictions bring about, it doesn't last forever if you get out of it. But it takes that initial leap of faith of embracing all of everything of life. Psychedelics and plant medicines help to expand your consciousness and to not escape things, but to feel everything with more sensitivity and more love too. It hits your heart. I'm Joe Mallory, and I am currently a full-time artist. Live here in Humboldt County in Arcata, California. I've just made my life about creating art and music to help just add beauty and light to the world, and if that inspires anyone else to do the same, then I am extremely grateful that I can do that. At a young age, I felt a lot of anxiety and depression growing up, and I used substances to escape that initially, and that just kind of spiraled into finding opiates, and I went really deep down that rabbit hole of a dark addiction at a young age, from about like 17, 18, 19, 20. And the last year of it, I was going in and out of rehab for an entire year, and I found that to not really be helpful. Just saying that all substances are gonna be harmful and prevent you from, living a good life, it didn't really resonate with me, because I felt like I knew that psychedelics helped to open up my thinking. And the last time, pretty much, my parents were like, this is the last straw. You're not gonna go to rehab. You're gonna stay at home and be with us, and you can smoke weed if you like. And cannabis really helped, because it was just, I had a lot of anxiety and depression, and sometimes it helps to just have something to just relax and like calm your nerves. And I found cannabis to be really helpful with that. But it was a mushroom trip initially. It had been a few months of sobriety, and I was nervous to take the mushrooms because I felt like, what if this sends me back into doing opiates, because it's something more than cannabis? But it had the opposite effect of it opened me up so much to just feeling everything in my life with such sensitivity and just clarity of like seeing like, okay, yeah, I went through all this horrible stuff, and the mushroom trip made me really feel all of the stuff that I was doing to myself and to the people that I love. And it made me realize, like, why was I doing that? Like, there's no need to escape things in my life with something so negative. And it made me realize that, life is full of ups and downs, and you can try to escape the downs, but then it doesn't make you really appreciate it. And I feel like the mushrooms made me really just face that head on. And I just said to myself, like, life is too good to waste. Like, why would I, this is such a beautiful experience. And if this is like what is part of life, then I have a lot to learn, and I'm gonna keep learning on this route. And so that experience really just helped me start to initially change. It had been several months after that. I was coming up on around my first year of being fully sober from opiates, but I still felt a lot of anxiety and just old thought processes from that addiction that were still present and holding me back. And I took this LSD, this acid, and it was a difficult trip for me. And I was pretty speechless the whole time, kind of unable to talk, just on my own, deep in this psychedelic experience. But the epiphanies that I had changed my life. And I realized, even though the whole time I was faced with my thought loop from the year before, and I was faced with that in a way that was, it was like confronting it head on, and it was like overwhelming, because what psychedelics do is increase your sensitivity to everything, and your consciousness and thought process is what controls the whole trip and experience. And my thought process was very negative and self-defeating, and I was faced with my thought loops of being, you're not good enough, you're, I don't know, just being self-conscious and beating myself up. And in that, I wanted it to end. Like, can I stop thinking? Like, how do I escape this? And before, I would use substances to escape, you know, to escape the feelings that I was having, and being like, okay, this numbs me out and I don't have to feel these self-critical, self-defeating thoughts. And psychedelics, you don't get to escape that. It puts you in that to the point that you feel that and are like, okay, this is not working for me. I need to change my thought process and realize that, like, this way of thinking is leading me down feeling depressed and anxious, because I'm thinking these thoughts that are creating this self-fulfilling prophecy of that. And psychedelics make you face that and realize that the way you're thinking during that psychedelic experience is going to change the journey that you have. And I started to, you know, find things that thoughts that helped me to have some hope out of the experience. And at music festivals, there's amazing art and music all around. And art and music have always been a huge passion of mine. But at the time, I had just been doodling, just drawing, you know, in notebooks in school. And during this trip, I saw all of these painters doing art live, you know, like painting a painting right there in front of you. And I was seeing all these patterns that I knew I had in myself, like brush strokes that I knew, like, I could do that one day. And although the psychedelics made it so I was so overwhelmed that I couldn't communicate this to anyone, but I was just lost in this epiphany of like, oh my God, like, that's what I gotta do. Like, my life was going down this negative pathway of just feeling like, I need to escape everything. Everything is too overwhelming. And then during that trip, I realized, like, oh, I have all of this in myself that I can offer to other people too. And maybe I could, in a few years, I could be that person painting and inspiring someone else to get out of this thought loop that I was in. And also in that time, I ran into someone playing harmonica, and I thought, wow, I wanna try harmonica. And now, 7 years later, I've been painting as a full-time artist, and I play harmonica pretty well, I would say. Life is just, it's full of ups and downs, and you have to embrace all of it and find a way to make your life, you know, worth living. And a lot of that has to do with just your mindset of how you think about your life. And all of the darkness that those addictions bring about, it doesn't last forever if you get out of it, you know? And you can make amends and fix all of the things that happen through that. But it takes that initial leap of faith of embracing all of everything of life. And I think that psychedelics really help to just open your sensitivity to all of that. Well, I would say maybe looking at substances in a different way, where there are some that people use to escape things and don't really get anything out of it, and it just keeps them in this loop of escapism. And psychedelics and plant medicines help to expand your consciousness and to not escape things, but to feel everything with more sensitivity and more love too. It hits your heart and makes you really just feel things from other perspectives, from people that you're around. And it's like when you're in that state, you realize that you feel harm and empathy more than anything, you know? And that is so powerful, because it makes you realize the things that you've done wrong, but in a way that allows you to make amends with yourself, you know, and to get past that.